Never. They would kill me because they're bears. Don't be upset with bears doing what bears do, because that's exactly what they're going to do. I'm saying that we think a lot about, who am I? What should I be? What I should do? And then we project ourselves into the world saying, here's what I am and what I stand for. And then that's on brand if it's true. But the second someone starts saying, I'm the coach that is that fully believes this, this, and this, and then you see them not doing that, you saying, yeah, because you were faking that thing, because you're not true to who you are and the purpose you serve. Unlike a bear that has no choice. Whether you put a bear in the circus in a car with a hat, or it's just in the woods, no matter what, the bear simply is the bear. That is the difference between nature and, I guess, mankind in an aberrant position to overthink reasons why and definitions of and all the things, rather than just being a bear. It's the Tao of poo.
But given what you said to me earlier,
I'm crazy. The Tao of poo was right.
But don't you think you're increasingly Sean, like as you get older?
And that's the scary part.
See how you brought that together? As I said, more and more, I'm like, no time for nonsense. This is truth, because I'm centering it on, this is my truth. This is what it is. These other things are nonsense.
Yep.
And mayhem and chaos. I'm coming back to being the bear, which is, this is just what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a truer reflection of who we are.
And we'll see where that gets us.
If we
Welcome back to The Ether, the show that disrupts the way you think about running your business. Join me, Brandon, and my co-host, Sean Delaney, the creator of What If, on today's episode. Our goal is to provide context around what we talk about so you have the clarity to cut through the noise and the confidence to grow and run a truly harmonious business. Let's jump in and take the next step to achieving business freedom. Welcome back to another episode of The Ether. If you heard the first minute of this show, you know we are already off the rails, which usually takes us 15 to 20 minutes to get to, but we're already there. We're jumping right in, and we actually have a very, very special guest who joined me on Harmonious at Lunch. So if you are a subscriber over there, you already know that, but let's welcome back first Kate Gilbert. Thank you. And we also apologize for joining us.
Round of applause. We're sorry in
Thank you for having me.
We've already sent the gift basket and the cards. Yeah, we're talking bears in the universe and the nature of things and acting in harmony with truth. That's what we're talking about. Well, what are we talking about now, Brandon? Rein us in. Kate.
Yeah.
You should hear more about Kate.
We are going to try to tie bears to marketing, but I think we can do it, okay? Because what is this show about? It is about disrupting the way you think about your business. So we have bears. I'll move my hands on the screen if you're watching. And we have creative marketing, right? Well, if you only do the same things that you've ever done, you are not, that's the definition of, or not the definition, the opposite of creative. So what we're going to talk about today is stop with your boring marketing and give you some creative ways to stand out. So think outside the box, get outside of your context of who you usually are and how you usually market and what's right and wrong in your industry and in your business. And we have an expert to help us do that. So Kate, I just called you an expert, and we already, before you get nervous, we already know you are, so it doesn't matter, but we're going to talk about creative marketing. So before we dive into creative marketing, can you just share a few examples of the way you creatively market your business for context of the episode?
You know what? I'm going to go back to our discussion of bears and say,
Nice.
I'm Kate, and I am increasingly myself, and I have a decreasing amount of patience for stuff that doesn't feel right to me. So I think everything I do is just in my voice, in my style. There you go. I'm not an actress. I'm not interested in pretending I'm anything I'm not. So
you know,
that's
you
how
never see old bears rummaging through, kicking over trash cans and rummaging through.
Do you not? I don't know.
No,
you have a lot of bears in the city. I live in the city.
It's only the young. I live in New Jersey. This happens frequently. It's always the young ones because they don't know who they are yet. They're like, look at me, I'm people. No, they have to be a bear. And then the old ones are like, I have no time for that. Like, I'm just going to stay in the woods, just going to do bear things. No time for nonsense. You're in that stage of life, and it's beautiful. And I bet it's iridescent to the moths looking for your marketing. Is that true? Is that a sentence? Did I
Yeah.
just say that?
Yeah.
Better on paper.
I'm a moth who attracts moths.
There were so many potential insults wrapped in that one statement. He started with old bears, so don't read between the lines there. And then he called you a moth, I think. So
old is the new smart, I think. Trusted.
I hope so. I hope
wise.
so.
Wise would be a better word. But okay, no, so that's interesting though, because in this world, there's a lot of people who say you have to do certain things in your marketing. You have to look like maybe a big company. You have to portray yourself as something you're not. And there is an increasing trend of being yourself and attracting who you attract. What's the first step? I think if we back all the way up, is to understand who you are. How did you go about that process?
Well, I mean, we kind of talked about this on Harmonious at Lunch, where I said I'm a big fan of writing a manifesto. And I feel like if you're really in touch with, what your values are, what your ethics are, what you want to accomplish, what you want to do for yourself, what you want to do for others, and you're just starting from that space, my other answer is get older.
And hopefully that'll happen.
Yeah. I mean, it's better than the alternative. But, like, I just feel like at this point in my life, I don't have a lot of patience for pretending things. And I think like pretending you're anybody that you're not, or trying to look like X person or Y person, I think can really work against you, because like what makes you special is you. I mean, let's be real. Like, how many people out there are doing the same things as us? Like a gazillion.
Yeah.
And I know there are a lot of people out there who are making more than me, charging more than me. I also know that they're not doing as good a job, and and so I just have faith in at this point that like being myself, being authentic brings the right people to me, and they hear me, they understand my message. And so I don't self-edit a whole lot. And I think sometimes we have to kind of like pretend we're other people to get the nerve to do something. And I don't have a problem with that, and I'm all for experimentation. Like if you're talking about like on your Instagram or whatever, like I'm all for playing around with what your posts look like. And, oh, this person did this. That's kind of interesting. What if I did that? Or how would I do that my own way? I have no problem with that. I think that at a certain point, though, you start to figure out who you really are, what you want to create that feels correct to you. And then hopefully you're able to translate that into your written and your visual messaging.
Kate, I love the idea of coming into exactly who you are, and then that empowering marketing, because people, if you have no time for nonsense, you have less patience for just writing things for people because you think it's what they want to hear. Right? There's enormous power in that. But I also want to call out the concept that you said. I love when you said, I get and understand, my words, not yours. I forget exactly what you said. Being someone or emulating somebody you're not, taking on that. Because I love the book Alter Ego.
Yeah.
And I think that's
think about it like Beyonce has an alter ego. David Bowie had a gazillion of them. Why not invent your own?
Oh, one more name I'm looking for. Who else did? Brandon, say it if Kate won't.
It's Prince.
Prince had an
Prince. Yes, of course.
And it was his lawyer. And so then when that guy showed up to be, right, his last name was Starr, right? When they were talking to that guy, you weren't talking to Prince. I love the idea of very creative people having those things. And actually, there's a wonderful clip of Beyonce and Prince on stage together. And at one point, she's like trying to hog the mic, and he brilliantly, almost seamlessly kind of pulls her arm over with his and gets the mic back. And she talks about how, I couldn't believe I did that. I'd been so nervous of all this time practicing and doing things in order to get ready for this. But then Sasha took over and she wanted the mic, and Prince was just like, no, here we are, and reined it back in. But anyway, so that just dynamic of two people with these alter ego ideas playing on stage brilliantly and perfectly together. But I think if you have that kind of alter ego and lean into it, because we hear, well, emulate the people that you want to be. Well, but some people just can't be that thing. You want to emulate, if you want to get a certain level or certain status, that's one thing. And to use them as if they can do it, so can I. But I think it has to still be in your own voice or a voice you choose for yourself. And I think if you're just operating on different alter egos and situations, and there's not a real core understanding of really who you are, then you are subject to the whims of the moral compasses of the alter egos you're taking on, rather than knowing exactly who you are, no matter what role you're playing.
Yeah, 100%. And I was about to say something, and now I don't remember what it was.
It was, I love being on here, and we've talked about bears, and now beyond.
And mustard seeds. It feels like we're in Wonderland. How's a raven like a writing desk? How's a bear like a mustard seed?
We're in Wonderland.
We've talked about too much so far. That's really where we're at. But okay, so what I want to dive into then.
Oh, I know what I was going to say. Sorry, can I just say it?
Yeah, yes.
All right. So I think the reality is that at this point, we're bombarded with so much media, and people are smart. Like, people are smarter than we give them credit for sometimes. And like, if you're a big phony, they're going to feel it and they're going to see it. I think we're all smart enough now to read somebody and be like, yeah, that person, there's something.
You know what I love? I love when I see somebody who's, you said it too, you've seen people who are in your space not doing as good of a job as you are. Yeah. And you understand where their integrity is and where their values are, and maybe they're not there, right? Maybe I'm adding in more of my own lens into that, but okay. Because Brandon and I are doing things that a lot of people without the greatest integrity are playing in this space. Okay. But when I see those people getting more and more attention, and as they rise up, other people will say, oh, doesn't that burn you? I go, no, I hope they post even more, because this thing can't last with enough scrutiny on it. Right. Yeah. Like they're going to be, their truth will out, as the British say.
Yeah.
Harry Potter.
When I started, I don't even know if you know this, but I ran a knitting magazine for 10 years. I found it.
We were trying the elephant in the room. A knitting magazine. For the massive knitting community that we speak to. Hello to all of you. I didn't want to lead with this. I didn't want to derail us. We're trying to be more inclusive to some other marketing people too. But hello, they are a tight-knit bunch.
Yes. So when I started my magazine, an editor of another magazine who I used to publish with gave me some advice. And it's the thing I try to keep in mind. She said, keep your nose down, do the work. So I try really hard to not pay too much attention to what other people are doing or what success I think they do or do not have. And let's keep in mind, getting 1,000 likes on a social media post doesn't mean 1,000 people bought their product. They might have sold none. We have no idea really what's happening behind the scenes. So I try really hard to just do my own thing. And when I'm looking at other people's stuff, I'm looking at it in a scientific way, kind of okay, what can I learn from that?
The only time we coach people to look at the competition is when you're specifically in that seat of strategic planning, saying, what's the marketplace doing? Where are the trends? Where the things go? Other than that, shut it down. Don't compare, because it's irrelevant to what you're doing and who you're doing.
Also, I ran my magazine for 10 years, and over the course of those 10 years, other people started magazines that were similar, and guess how many of them were still running when I quit? Very few, if any. So, I would get that little another magazine. Can't they come up with their own idea? I feel like they're copying me. And, and then, an issue, 2 issues later, they were toast. They were done.
Yeah. Yeah, because it wasn't real. It wasn't coming from a place. They aren't a creator, right? A core valued center creator of value for people.
Yeah.
They were trying to churn out content, different subtle shit, but they were turning out, and they had no idea, so they were copying yours, and then they were done.
Yeah, and we for those of you watching live, if you're watching the recording, Desiree commented actually authenticity is the word of 2024 for marketing, and I think that's sums up what we're talking about perfectly, and it's so true. Shout out Desiree, thanks for joining us. But yeah, so
Desiree thinks about bears. Okay.
Desiree, don't answer that question. Okay, moving on. Maybe we'll get back to bears, maybe we won't. But okay, this is a foundation. It seems like you have to be authentic. You have to have your voice. You have to know what that is. And finding that is your own personal journey. We would encourage that before you dive into expressing your voice. But now that you have it, you have, Kate, a very interesting, I'll call it strategy for your marketing, something I've never seen. And it was one of the first things Sean shared with me after he got back from the event that you two met at, that I want to talk about a little bit, because it's so unique. I'm hoping it sparks ideas for the listener. Should you copy this directly? No, probably not. But I'm hoping this sparks a lot of ideas so you can then go be creative and spread your voice in the world to your customers. So you guys can talk about that event a little bit, but Sean and Kate,
Brandon sends me places hoping that I'll come back and go, "Ooh," and he's like, and then he knows I'm excited. I'm like, "Oh, I saw something cool, saw something interesting. We got to play with Kate." He's like, "Okay, what's this?" I'm like, "She said things like riff and jam." And he's like, "Okay, is it just that? Did you guys talk about Prince, and that's the only reason you want to hear?" I'm like, "No, he never came up. But riff, jam,
I can talk about Prince with you if you want. I saw him in
Yeah.
Buffalo. I was in the third row.
Okay, I have to go, guys. I'm leaving. I'm obviously not welcome in this conversation.
I'll tell you my Prince story another time. Okay.
Kate coming back for a show just dedicated to the purple one. All right, but so let's not digress. Anyway, we went to Renee Rebar, one of our luminaries here, or there, or where are we? We're in the ether, but one of our luminaries here in What If. Went to her mastermind event in Miami, and she cultivates a beautiful room. She's a sales expert, and she had a wonderful room of a mix of people, and we got to riff and jam and talk about what we do. And I loved, what did I love? What did I love? This is a visual thing. This is also a podcast, but I'm holding up a card with a heart on it. What did I love about your presentation? And that, and this, and the things. You tell me.
Well, so Renee said, you're going to get up and speak for 8 minutes. You can't have slides. You can't have note cards. Just do it. And I was like, okay.
No crutches. No crutches.
Well, you got a crutch. I made a crutch anyway. So I decided, like, what's a thing I could do that people might like keep on their desk, that people would remember. And so my talk was called Social Media Group Therapy, which is it's like the first live workshop I do in my sprint program. So I was like, okay, in 8 minutes, I can only cover like 3 or 4 of those points. And I have like this whole slideshow full of like interesting stuff, good ideas. How can I give people the absolute most possible? And so I decided to make note cards. For those of you who can't see, I have some here actually. And so there were a bunch of them that were wrapped up with a sticker that says, in case of social media mindset emergency, break seal. But then there were 4 loose cards, and I wanted to figure out like how to make something that was interactive. I was kind of terrified at the idea of a room of people just staring at me, and God forbid you're the person who speaks after lunch and everybody's all like groggy from their carbs or whatever. Yeah. So I decided to make these 4 cards where people could react the same way we do on social media. So I have a heart, I have a crying face, I have a thumbs up, and I have a wow face. So I told everybody in the beginning of the talk that you could react live to my presentation.
Which they did.
Yeah. Yeah. And people did actually continue to use them. I saw people hold them up for other people's presentations.
Yes, they did. I loved it. I loved 2 things about your presentation. Only 2. It was 8 minutes. I mean, no, I'm kidding. I loved the whole thing. But one was the cards, and that there was other stuff there, beautifully packaged, You had a stand so we could
Yeah.
conveniently
My
keep
friend's
them
husband
there.
cut these beautiful, I think they're actually cherry. They're really nice wood.
It tasted like grape to me, but
Oh, okay.
anyway, so it was fantastic. And yes, it made it more engaging. People they were listening to you more because they were looking for reasons to use them, because it then became fun. And then they used it for the rest of the time. So even though they were loving what somebody else was saying, you were in their mind when they were doing it. That I loved. I also loved your use of questions to lead people to an uncomfortable truth about themselves. So Brandon and I have this problem with businesses. They say, here's my business, blood, sweat, and tears. And even though they're coming to us saying there's problems, we go, okay, well, here's the problems. And they go, what? Did you just tell me my baby was ugly? So we had to get away from telling people their baby is ugly and have a way that they go,
my baby might be ugly.
Right? That's okay. We'll put a bone in her hair. Well, she'll grow out of it. We'll get her teeth fixed. It's great. So we fix it up. So that is the way of, and you did the same thing. There was an uncomfortable truth that you could have come up there and said, you know, the thing you think you're all doing, you're doing it wrong. Instead, you just said, we understand this. Yes, yes. And if we did this, wouldn't this be true? Yes. And if this, then that. Yes. So why aren't you doing it?
Yeah.
No. Everybody smacked in the face with their stupidity, but you did it in that Socratic method that I love, where you used questions brilliantly. So do you want to talk about that? Was that on purpose?
Absolutely, it was on purpose.
Of course it was. That's why you're here. Talk to us about that.
So, I mean, I will do this for your audience if you like. And I
would love it.
People at home can play along. Like if it's a yes for you, raise your hand. If it's a no for you, then put your hand, give a thumbs down. So I did this actually, well, yeah, you can flip the thumb.
I didn't realize there was a switch on the back. This thing goes both directions.
It goes both ways.
And then it goes like that. And then you flip it again and it goes like that. It's unbelievable.
Okay. So this came directly from a conversation I had with someone who I've seen create something wonderful and then sit on it and not give it to anybody, not sell it.
Was it a chair?
Excuse me?
Was it a chair?
No, it's not a chair.
Because that wouldn't make sense if they created something. Okay, never mind. God, I'm sorry. Brandon reined me in. Beautiful.
I do appreciate the joke, though. Okay, so the question I asked to start with is, are you selling something because you believe in it and you want to help people? So, yes. I'm going to assume yes.
Yes.
Okay. Does your offer actually help people?
Yes.
I'm going to assume yes. Okay. Are there people who need your help?
Everywhere. Yes.
Okay. So you are trying to reach people so you can help them. We agree?
Yes.
Okay. So if you are not showing up, talking to people about what you're doing, showing up online, even posting to social media, then you can't help them. Why are you being so mean like that? I thought you told me you want to help people.
She's talking to you, Sean.
You're right. She's talking to me. She speaks to my soul. You're right.
So if you have something that will help people, you believe in helping people, there are people who need your help, then you have to show up. Because if you don't show up, nobody knows. Nobody's going to come knock on your door because they know about you. Magically. Yeah.
Love it. Look at that. Let's just sit there for a second.
Are you going to change then, Sean? That's the real question. So, okay, Kate, let's take the next step in this. Now we realize that this is the problem. You have your card deck there, break in case of social media emergency. Can you dive into what that looks like a little bit and how it could help people out of that problem? We have 3 minutes before we wrap up too. So if it's too much, we can do a part 2, but I'm just curious.
Well, I mean, we can definitely, I can talk about social media group therapy for an hour, easy peasy, no big deal. So what happened was I decided I was going to launch this course. I created this system to help people create a content loop, I call it, where we create 70 primary messages that you need to get across to your audience on a regular basis. And then we create a system with that. I created this magical spreadsheet where you make these messages and then it lays it out in a format for you where you are able to just go down the list. And when you hit number 70, you go back to number 1. And then at that point, you get to decide, do I want to say the same thing? Do I want to say it differently? Do I want to address it from a different angle? Anyways, it allows you, it's like a no-brainer social media plan. But what was happening was I was starting this program based on all this, and I realized that it wasn't going to help people unless we addressed all of the things that I heard all the time from people. Like, I don't like social media. I hate social media. It makes me feel bad. It just bums me out. I post and nobody reacts to my posts. I feel like I'm not getting any. I feel like I'm talking to nobody, all those kinds of things. And so I was like, we have a bigger problem here, and I need to start from someplace else. I can't start from where I'm trying to take them. I have to start with social media group therapy. And when I first thought of this idea, I was like, oh, are people going to think I'm a little weird? And I was like, who cares? Whatever. It's going to be great. And so I do that live. That's my first live workshop with my group. Is we come together, we talk about all the bad feels we have. We also talk about all the ways that social media can suck up our time, and then how to manage that in practical ways. And then we start from there, and it makes people begin from a place where they have more of a sense of curiosity, more of a sense of play. They're more able to look at things scientifically instead of taking everything personally. Yeah. Nobody liked my post except my Aunt Judy. Why does everybody hate me? I should probably just quit, because as much as we don't want to, admit it, a lot of us go there. Even if you just go there briefly, a lot of us sort of go down that rabbit hole of, what's this mean? This must mean something bad about me. This must mean something bad about my offer. This must mean something really bad.
Yeah. Love it. I love the play aspect. I love that you're being disruptive first. Because you realize I can't get you there from here. Where you are, you can't get there. That's why you can't. And why everyone else you've hired to get you there can't. Sometimes you have to first break the whole thing open, which is why Brandon and I do so many disruptive things here with people where they're like, we're talking about bears today? We're talking about bears today for a few minutes. Is it because you guys are crazy and Sean showed up to talk about bears? No. There's always something else going on. Right? But you have to break whatever's going on to get to that new place. And I absolutely love your mastery of that. So, Brandon, let's not even worry about Aunt Judy, because she's just looking for ways to be relevant. I mean, she doesn't even really like you. She's, you're not her favorite, but we appreciate the like, Aunt Judy. She didn't even know what you were talking about. She just said, I saw the kids in the background. It was great. Did I tell you what Jason's doing these days? He's head of cardiothoracic surgery. She just wanted to weigh in to talk about her shit.
So we talked about bears, we talked about Beyonce, Prince, mustard seeds, and we talked about, most importantly, Kate. So Kate, where can we go to find out about your group therapy class? And then we will wrap this up. Is it on your website?
Yeah, on my website, my group therapy class, sometimes I give it as a standalone webinar, but a lot of times it's mostly part of my my 30-day sprint program. So yeah, people can find me at kategilbert.com or on Instagram at KateGI, like the first 2 letters of my last name.
I love it. Kate, thank you so much for being here. If you want more Kate, go there, follow her on Instagram, go to her website. And of course, all that will be in the show notes as well. If you want to see Kate virtually slap me around on my podcast, talking about how I got maybe a little too attached to my social media results, we'll link that episode down below as well. Kate, thank you for that. And thank you for joining and watching wherever you are. Make sure you subscribe. We'll see you on the next episode of The Ether. We're going to go hang out in our inner circle now. We'll see you there.